Thirdly, we've just started an angel investing arm that is gender lens focused. So it's focusing on investing in women businesses, women-led, women-founded, but also businesses that employ women and produce women's products. Our ticket sizes range from anything from 10,000 rand to 500 rand. We realize there's a major gap here after a lot of women-led businesses establish a revenue point to get to the next scale. Nobody's really interested in investing in them. And so within our model is helping to handhold this growth by helping them build key governance structures that will help them attract investment, but also develop them as leaders, because within building them as leaders, we find that the stability of the organizations is a lot more guaranteed. And so particular areas of focus for us are right now agriculture, infrastructure development, particularly affordable housing, tech, and also we're looking at sanitation as well. We see these areas as key for value chain creation, particularly for women and community development. And as the saying goes, invest in a woman means you invest in a community, whereas if you invest in a man, you invest in a person. So, we're currently on a roadshow raising funds for our investment arm, and so we're really excited to launch it at the beginning of next year and start to look at the investments in these particular sectors. So on the topic, if we look at the data, which I'm sure a lot of you will already be familiar with, like the OECD report from July 2017 last year, around whether some of the free trade agreements and the removal of tariffs have enabled and invigorated economic activity within the region. We find that while, yes, this has really had a great impact, it's still quite minimal comparatively to other sectors and blocks. So the SADC region's business, it is said in the report, has increased by 10 to about 13% since the introduction of the Free Trade Agreement of 2008. Comparatively, if you look at the East and Southern Asia region, they increased their business and intertrade by 24%, and the EU is standing at 40%. So we're still lagging behind. And so if you look at the efforts that have been made in terms of policies and agreements, I think it needs some commendation. It's great. There's a lot of progress, and we're seeing not just at a regional level, but also bilateral agreements within countries in the region on some of these tariffs being removed to try and grow business. However, all of these efforts, a lot of these efforts seem to fall flat on their faces because we're not taking a holistic approach. And there's so many non-tariff barriers that are coming in the way and really impacting the rate at which we can really grow the interregional trade. So far, South Africa is benefiting the most from some of the trade tariff removals because they do have a trade deficit. And so a lot of the business is being driven by South Africa, right? Where does that leave the rest of the countries in the SADC region? And again, this also means that if we're only trading with each other in the SADC region at 10%, 90% of the business is going out of the SADC region, which is fine, but it's really not healthy if we really want to grow as a bloc. And so I'll talk specifically about Zambia because that's where I come from originally. But a lot of the stuff that I will talk about actually kind of translates in a lot of the other African countries in the region. We do a lot of work in Malawi and Mozambique, and I personally have worked in a lot of sub-Saharan countries, including like Angola and some in the west inside like Ghana and Nigeria. So if we look at some of the things that are hindering us on the non-tariff side, it's things such as trade-related infrastructure issues, from roads and communication, for example, to how expensive our power is in our region, which makes our products really not competitive in the region. If you look at Zambia, Zambia is landlocked. We have 8 borders with other countries, and yet we've only really made major use of 4, being Chirundu, which borders with Zimbabwe, Kasumbalesa, which borders with 4 countries, which is great, and Nakonde with Tanzania, and Kasumbalesa with DRC. However, if you look at, for example, Beira is 1,000 kilometers away from Zambia. It's the closest coastal line to Zambia. and yet we haven't really taken advantage of that. Compared to what we take advantage of most being Dar es Salaam and Durban, which are 2,000 kilometers away from Lusaka. And that's because the infrastructure is underdeveloped, and there hasn't been much commitment in the past to really ensure that we develop this infrastructure. We're only now looking at this Beira corridor with Mozambique, which is a great step, I think, both by the Zambian and the Mozambique government. And we kind of need to focus again on not just implementing the agreements and the policies, but that when we do implement, we can monitor and evaluate whether this has been effective or successful. Other non-tariff barriers include just like the cost of power. In a lot of our African countries, power is still an issue. Zambia holds 40% of the water in Southern Africa, 40%. We've got rivers, lakes, lots of falls, and yet we still just are dependent on one falls for power. Only now we're starting to see investment coming in where big energy companies are coming in to look at the other falls in the rest of the country and using the local government distributor as an off-taker. These are important things to consider because that helps at least some level of competitiveness and will help to drive the cost of our power down. We have weak manufacturing capacity in the region. It's horrendous. Like the manufacturing industry in my country is more or less non-existent because we import everything. And so if I'm looking at importing a raw material and I'm going to value add and try and resell it, it's not going to be competitive compared to something that I can just import from China, for example. Things around currencies and enabling borrowing in local currencies so that we're not paying through our noses when we're paying back in foreign currencies really help to drive the local economy. And where trade policies are really launched, sometimes there is poor commitment from our governments and other institutions in really implementing well, but also in monitoring and evaluating to ensure that what was implemented or what was intended is actually being implemented. I'll give you a typical example. In 2010, we drove with my family from Cape Town to Lusaka. I'm not doing that again, it's 3,500 kilometers, it's such a long drive. But between, we decided to use Botswana and to use the Kazungula border. That was 2010, and between South Africa and Botswana, okay, still two borders, we had to kind of do the same procedures on both sides of the border. However, the signage was pretty good, the instructions was pretty clear, and it was smooth, more or less. It would have been great if we could have only had one border and do the process once and do all the clearing once. This inconveniences time and it's also costly. Sometimes you have to pay fees on both sides. When it came to crossing from Botswana into Zimbabwe using Kazungula, we had to pay 6 things, no clear signage, which was an absolute confusion, which opens up so many opportunities then for things like corruption. Suddenly people are running to you and say, let me help you. Like, where do we, for a small fee, I'll help you. Like, where do we just start from? Why can't we just have signage that step 1 is police? There was everything from police clearance to gas emission of the car to customs duty, things like that. It added up to 6 things that we had to pay for in different places. At some point it would be like, go and get your police clearance from the police station. Where's the police station? Across the border. How do I get across the border if I haven't finished what I'm doing? You know, these things hinder trade. It hinders even services such as tourism, where we could really be effective and we could have so much potential if we could lessen some of these barriers. And again, by then, funny thing is that we had established the first of its kind one-stop border post at Chimundu between Zambia and Zimbabwe. First of its kind. Beautiful, well intended. However, at that point, the political situation, economic situations in Zimbabwe was not great. And so this impacted how the implementation of that project ran through and whether people were really interested in using that border. We didn't particularly want to use that border because we were worried. Everybody was saying every part you stopping in Zimbabwe, you will have to give a cop something. And so it hinders the ability to really take advantage of these state-of-the-art things that sometimes get implemented and created in the region, but when it comes to really implementing and evaluating whether we've been effective, we fall flat on our faces. And so, how might we really look at moving it more from conversations and from documents